Hello, I'm Luke Spiller.
I'm Adam Slack.
I'm Gethin Davies.
I'm Jed Elliott.
We are the Struts, and you're listening and watching Linea Rock.
Hi, the Struts.
Hello. Ciao.
Everybody. Welcome to Milan and welcome to Linea Rock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a show tonight in Milan, which is sold out since a long time. So are you excited, guys?
Super excited.
Okay. So it's 10 years of the Struts already. It seems like yesterday since you very first started. But how do you feel it? I mean, was it so quick as we perceive it? Or you think that you paid your dues?
Not only did we pay our dues, but I think we've done a lot more than that as well. Yeah, it's quite funny. It's been a 10-year overnight success for a lot of people. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it's been a long time since we've been touring and writing music. And this is our second time we're going to be performing in Italy, so we're super buzzing about it. We're really excited, and you know what? It's just great to sort of come here, doing a headline show, and getting the chance to say hello and thanking people who are supporting our music.
Yeah.
It's really important to us.
And at which point of this, first part of the Struts journey, you understood, yes, we made it?
I think it's still coming. It's still coming.
Coming, okay.
I mean, it's very rare for anyone, I think, to sort of have one big leap. The Struts has always been about these small strutty steps to what we deem and perceive as success. And I think the tour that we're doing now is one of those steps.
Okay.
It's going, like you said, I mean, this show tonight has been sold out for many a moon, and it's the same thing with the UK as well, that we literally just have been doing for the last couple of weeks, and we really feel it. We feel like it's like now something's happening. It's like we're on the brink of something really special happening. As people keep saying, what's happening with us is so exciting and unique. We're just one lightning flash away from being the greatest and the best in the entire world.
You are the perfect example of new band, which is, living the big rock lesson, but keeping it fresh as well and very updated. Nowadays, though, the music biz has changed a lot, its approach, and labels first. They don't give, much space and time to build careers. And many new bands happens, that burn fast. With a few exceptions, like the Struts. Do you leave it some way as a challenge, this new approach? And what makes the Struts stand out in in 2019?
Well, I think we are, ironically, a band of the times. We approach everything with a mindset of what is important today. That includes the process of which the music's made as well. We're yet to be a band that has written and recorded music in dare say the traditional sense of where we've had like some time off, like 2 or 3 months to go away to some farm with a studio and one specific producer and record and write this music from the ground up. We're very much at the moment piecing together sort of very small amounts of time and recording in between a busy schedule, which is, to a degree, is a sign of the times. We're a band that is extremely aware that new music has to be coming out as quickly as possible, and in order to increase the chances of again success, that the music has to be a world within itself, and it has to be really, really strong. We're not particularly a band that writes, dare say, album tracks, so to speak. We kind of, or have done anyway for the last 2 albums, just kind of every song has just been like a bang, 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 you know, what we call hit, at least anyway in our heads. But what makes us stand out, I think it's our work ethic makes us stand out. I think we're, you know, the hardest working band in show business. I think it's the attention to detail. It's the show itself when people come. It's for the most part, it's a band that people haven't seen, or a show they haven't seen for a very long time, or even at all. So I think that's what makes us stand out. Sort of the attention to detail, the quality of music, and a great show.
Is it true that you had the songs and basically the whole first album written before actually having a band formed?
So, kind of, a little bit. There was a couple of songs that had been recorded before this specific lineup was in place, but for the most part, the big songs that have kind of served us really well, like Could It Be Me, Kiss This, On Everybody Wants, were written and recorded once this lineup had been established and put into stone. And
so the second album was worked as a band.
The second album was approached slightly differently. We could actually play as a group and build songs from the ground up, and everything was played, you know, consistently by the 4 members, which is something that we didn't quite have on the first album, because basically we ran out of money. And it wasn't until signing with Interscope that we had a little bit of cash that we could actually get the rhythm section playing on some of these songs instead of robots. So yeah, it's been a great experience.
And it took 4 years between Everybody Wants and Young and Dangerous. Of course, you've been touring a lot and you were busy, but the fact that it took, you know, so long is because you are maybe more reflective, you know, and do you think that that's a trick, you know, not to lose the correct direction?
Well, there's some truth in that. It was a while for the first and second album, but in all honesty, it was only a few years between the American release, which a lot of people would perceive as kind of our first true release, especially for the US audience and a lot of Europe as well. We were really itching to create more music. But we decided, hey, there's some great songs on this first album that still haven't had the justice that they deserve in terms of getting out there and being played across the world. And America was doing that, so we thought, you know, let's add some new songs, which was a really cool thing to do, because it's not every day that everyone gets a second chance on the debut album. I mean, it doesn't even make sense, but it worked for us. Look, we're unconventional in our music and our look and everything, and the way we release albums is, you know, just that.
You stated that with your music, listeners are taken on a journey. So what's the destination for, you know, the fans and for the band?
The destination is the imagination. That's the best way I could describe it. I think, for the most part, great music, no matter what genre it is, it takes you somewhere else. I think it's a mentality that has also been brought into the live show as well. I want people to come to the show and forget about what argument they may or may not have had with someone, or the pressures of, you know, this crazy thing called life can sort of give people. And I want the music to do that as well. We all want the music to do that. It basically, you know, comes down to when we were all younger and getting on the school bus listening to our favorite records and albums and being taken somewhere else before, you know, the school bell rang and oh shit, here it comes, life. I'd like to think the Struts music does that.
Okay. You like to play cover versions a lot and to play with cover versions. How do you usually pick the songs, you know, from other artists and work on them? And what's, you know, the common denominator, you know, I don't know, between among Daft Punk and, I don't know, T-Rex or the Rolling Stones?
Well, that process at the very beginning was sort of us unashamedly trying to gain more fans. Really, it was kind of like it, you know, we can say that now because we've come so far, but it was something that a lot of people were doing at the time, and we thought, you know what, we could do that, and we could do it even better. And it was good. It was songs that I personally didn't really want to do. And after doing them, it was like it was a good learning process. It was cool to dive into songs that I probably necessarily wouldn't have having to listen to before, and it was great. And then from that, it helps grow as musicians. You know,
it was also something for us to do at the time because we'd only been playing sort of 1 gig a week, and then we weren't allowed to release music at that time. So it was something for us to put out to the fan base we had, and as Luke said, it grew it from there. And a lot of people that have still come to our live shows and buy our records discovered us from finding a weird cover video in the dark depths of YouTube.
Very smart.
I do want to point out our cover of Lord Royals was particularly good. I think it was a real moment, and I think it was one of the last ones that we did. But I
think the reason that we do, if we did choose a song to do, is they have to be like at least a great song. That's the common denominator, I think.
Okay.
Maybe some of the early ones weren't us. Maybe the Got To one wasn't the best one that we ever did.
I actually like that one. That was the one I actually enjoyed.
Actually, Gethin got to play kazoo on that, so that was always a winner. Yeah.
I think how we choose it. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just one of those things. I think when it came to choosing Dancing in the Dark, I remember I suggested it because, one, we had very little time to rehearse it, and two, if you look at it, it's a very easy song to play, and it also helps if I already know it as well. So that worked out for the best.
Are you working on some new songs already? I mean, do you compose on tour, or it's something that you want to do when you're back home? It
is difficult to sort of like constantly be writing on tour, just given the amount of time that we just simply don't really have. I mean, we do jam things out and sound check, but even then it's never enough time, you know. It's like
to develop, you know.
You're kind of like, hey, okay, let's you know, can we try this, and you know, we'll start playing something, and then 5 minutes will go by, and then our sound man would be like, that's all very well and good, but you know, can I just hear the snare drum for 3 minutes, you know? Or you know, Adam will need to do his tone and stuff. So we have these very kind of like small snippets.
I think individually we're all cooking up stuff at the moment, but with the schedule we've not had the time to kind of bring it all together yet. But there's stuff flying around in there.
And it's also tough as well, because let's say on a day off we did do that, but you know, in order to write, I've got to sing. And sometimes, I mean, like today, for instance, you know, I'm singing 2 acoustic sets today, and then we're doing the hour and 45, maybe 50-minute show, and and we're doing sound check as well, which I don't want to miss out on. And I think it's important when you're doing 3 shows in a row. Sometimes, maybe 4. I mean, the Struts we've done 5 as well at some points, and. So. You gotta let them rest a little bit, you know.
Concerning your image, you strut around a very, very strong image, which in your case is definitely, you know, the mirror of a lifestyle and real attitude. How do you think that the importance of the look of a band has changed through the years, and it has still a main importance, but maybe a slightly different meaning, different use or abuse, I might say, in general, in an era, where, the visuals are pretty much predominant in every line of work, and I must say, in every moment of our lives. So how do you live that? I mean, it's something that comes naturally, or
Yes.
there's a teamwork?
Well, first and foremost, the look and dressing for the part is been very natural for me. I've always felt it's something which is at the utmost importance for any group. I think it's actually quite beautiful and ironic now that the look, like you said, of any group is now super important, because we're in a society where we're so visually stimulated all the time, which is quite fun. And I think we've kind of, it's great that we've kind of stuck at this and let it evolve, and it's all kind of coming to a head now where it is super important. How the looks have changed, I mean, the bands have always got looks. I think it's great that fashion and music has kind of always worked side by side, and it's created some real distinctive looks within particular moments in time, which is super important. I'd just like to point out that when we were doing this, and when, especially in the early days, when we were wearing what we were wearing, it wasn't fashionable.
Okay.
It wasn't cool, and I was proud of that. And I think it's great to know that now. I guess we're starting to see that putting an effort into what you wear is now becoming more and more important, as every sort of like months goes by, and bands like ourselves are getting bigger and it's becoming fashionable.
Yeah.
At least we can say we were doing it before it became a quote sort of necessity.
Last question for today. You opened the shows for The Who, the Rolling Stones, Guns N' Roses, and Foo Fighters. Is it more traumatic going back, to smaller venues after such big events? Or, on the other hand, it's, more traumatic to be suddenly kicked on those huge stages and in front of thousands of fans, which are not your proper fans, in that, incredible dimension, like living the dream or so on? What is more traumatic for you?
Well, traumatic experiences are something that are very close to the Struts story. I mean, there have been many a time where we have done a really great, massive show, and the next day we've done like 400 people or 300.
It's very humbling.
It is. It's always humbling, but I definitely think we've got to where we are today because we are one of very few bands that can be working a circuit of a few hundred people for a tour and then jump into 70,000 people and feel somewhat at home. It doesn't make a difference for us, ever, because we put the same show on regardless. So it's nice to be
very physical and intense.
Exactly,
show.
Very physical, very intense, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's 400 people or 4,000 or 40,000. It's nice doing the bigger shows. My voice always sounds better on a bigger stage. It's just God designed it that way.
That's a good point.
And I think I sound better in a cathedral or a stadium rather than a small club. But we enjoy it either way. It's always good. We're always here. It's always fun, isn't it?
Thanks, guys, for your time, and
so
please be back soon, because there's a lot of people that would love, to have a ticket for tonight's show, but it's sold out, so you have to come back soon.
We love Italia. We'll be back.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That's